Lost my train of thought. Where'd it go? Hey, this is Megan in the restricted section. Today I'm going to be doing my December wrap-up video, a Christmas book haul, and I'm going to draw a book out of my TBR jar to read in January. So, let's get started. For December, I kind of took it easy as far as reading went, so I only read 4 books in December. The first book that I read was The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. This book, I had heard really, really good things about it, and it was supposed to be like heartbreaking and just really epic. This was a really good book. I did not cry in it like I thought I might. It was pretty heavy. There are a lot of like really heavy things that happen in the story, but this is a story about a man who grew up in Afghanistan, and he's from a wealthy family, and they had a father and son who were kind of like their servants, and he grew up with the little boy, and they were, the best of friends up until this really traumatic and horrible thing happens, and he doesn't handle it well, and things they go their separate ways from there. Him and his father end up having to flee Afghanistan, and they come to the United States, and this is kind of the story of him finding a way to redeem himself in his eyes, and a way for him to forgive himself for what he did and for how he handled the really awful and traumatic event that happened. So I think I gave this 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I really liked it. I'm really glad I read it. I got sucked into this, and then it was kind of hard to stop reading it. The next book I read was And Chaos Died by Joanna Russ. This is just a short little sci-fi book. I think it's kind of like experimental sci-fi or something. This book was weird as fuck, and it was actually, with as short as it is, it was really hard for me to get through. It's just really weird. It's about this ship that crash lands on this Earth-like planet that's populated by telepaths, and they have like a really weird society and a really weird culture. So it's about this this character named Javed, and about how that society affects him. And like I said, this was really hard for me to get through. First of all, the writing is really like kind of stream of consciousness weird, because they're telepaths, so they can teleport, they can read minds, they can like share thoughts and all that stuff. So I mean, it was really weird at some points. Also, there was a really problematic element to the story that I really wasn't. As soon as I realized that that's what was going to happen, it kind of turned me off to the story. I didn't really want to keep reading, but there's a gay character in this novel, and he ends up like getting cured of his gayness, which is ridiculous. And I realized this was written a long time ago, but that was really problematic for me, and I did not care much for that aspect of the story. I don't know if she was being serious when she wrote that, or if she was trying to be like funny and satirical about that, because it is ridiculous. I don't know, but I was not a fan of that aspect of the story, so I don't know. What I did think was funny was that there is like an advertisement for cigarettes halfway through the book. The next book that I read was Fated by S.G. Brown. This is about this character called Fabio, who is actually Fate. And it's kind of like a weird, it's almost like a weird rom-com, but it's about Fate and his job, and he's kind of disillusioned with his job, and he meets a mortal woman and kind of falls in love with her, and it really throws a wrench in what he's supposed to be doing. So I had a lot of fun reading this book. I don't know that I could say that this is good. I don't think it's necessarily a good book, but I had a lot of fun reading it, so I gave it 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. The reading experience was fun, like I said, and it's kind of a silly story, and it was, I mean, fate and destiny and death and all the 7 deadly sins are characters. God's name is Jerry. They call him Jerry in here. So yeah, it's just like a fun, silly little read, and I had a good time reading it. I blew through it pretty quickly. So the ending is really dark and fucked up. Like I said, not really a good book, but it was a fun one to read. The last book that I read in December was called Wishful Drinking by Carrie Fisher, because as you all probably know, Carrie Fisher passed away this month, which is a giant bummer. She was, of course, she's an iconic character in Star Wars, and she was a strong female character who didn't need a man to rescue her, which is really awesome, and it inspired a lot of, women and girls. But also she was like a really outspoken advocate for mental illness and addiction, and she was a pretty good writer too, so there's that. She was incredibly funny. So I was inspired by that to read some of her work. I had never read her books before, but I had heard really positive things, and so I decided that I would read her nonfiction books. I know she wrote a few novels as well, but I got Wishful Drinking, Shockaholic, and The Princess Diarist, and I read Wishful Drinking in December, and that was like a memoir of hers, and she talks about a little bit about her drug use in that one. She also talks about her experience with ECT in that one and her memory loss as a result of it. Despite that, she seems like she's a proponent of ECT, which is interesting. But yeah, she's very clever and funny and super witty, so I really enjoyed Wishful Drinking. It was a really fast read. It was only like 160 some odd pages, I think. But yeah, definitely worth a read. I enjoyed it. So those are the 4 books I read in December. So not a heavy reading month. I kind of took it easy. Had a lot going on, social functions and holiday shit and all that. So that was my reading month. And then I was also going to do a Christmas book haul because I got some cool stuff for that. So my friends and I did a Secret Santa thing. My husband and I had our friends over and we all exchanged gifts. And so one of the gifts that I got was this little book. It's called The Afterword by Mike Bryan. And this is kind of a cool, weird read. It's the afterword to a book that doesn't exist. So I thought that was kind of an interesting, novel concept. Yeah, it says, the afterword is the afterword to a best-selling novel that doesn't exist. It is a stunning, deliriously original work of fiction about the nature of faith in the modern world. So yeah, I thought that sounded interesting. This is from my friends Brandon and Isa, so thank you, Brandon and Isa. I'm excited to read this. And then Sue got me some cool books as well for Christmas gift. She got me The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins because she accidentally bought 2 of these. So it usually works out for me. When Sue forgets what she buys, it works out well for Megan. So she gave me a copy of this. I'm hoping that she and I can read this together, so that'll be cool. She also got me some fun sci-fi books because she knows that we're both trying to read more sci-fi and I love sci-fi. So she got me Garbage World by Charles Platt. And in each of the books that she got me, she wrote a little note in the front because we love books with notes written in them. And so this is Garbage World. And she wrote, Megan, I tried to find some ridiculous sci-fi books and I thought you might enjoy the rubbish dump of the galaxy. Happy Saturnalia, love, Sue. So there's her little note in the front. She also got me this one. It's called T.A. by John Robert Russell. I want you to take a pretty good look at this picture on the front and tell me what you notice. And Sue's note says, Megan, that plant has boobs. Need I say more? Love, Sue. She needn't say more. The plant has boobs. And then she got me this book, which is really cool and interesting. To take it out of its baggie. Hold on. This is a collection of short stories called Warm Worlds and Otherwise by James Tiptree Jr. And the interesting fact about this one is that James Tiptree Jr. is actually a woman, and she wrote using the name James Tiptree Jr. Because women in sci-fi are not exactly well received, especially back then. And so, yeah, this is just a collection of short stories by her, and I think that's going to be super awesome. And then Sue wrote in it, Megan, I thought this would be a good addition to your collection of sci-fi written by women. I hope you like it. That's pretty awesome. Also, I've already read this book, but I loved it so much that I wanted to own it. And so my husband got me a copy of Kindred by Octavia Butler. I love her. I think she's brilliant, and I loved this book. It was super awesome. So I'm excited that I now own it. And my husband also got me this really adorable book that he ordered from a site in the UK called Petlandia. And you get to personalize your book, and so he got me a book called Sasha's Adventures in Petlandia. And it's all about my Sashi bear going to Hollywood to be a star, but she misses me so much that she comes home. And this is the last page of it. And it's really adorable, and it has our names up here. And all the way through the book, it's all personalized. So our names are in there throughout the story, and it's really adorable. So that was one of my favorite Christmas gifts this year. Now I'm going to draw my first TBR from a TBR jar, and I'm going to read it sometime in the month of January. So I'm going to shake it up. Now, disclaimer, I don't own all of these books. These are just books that are on my Goodreads TBR, plus books on my shelf that I haven't read, so it's a combination of the two. So if I draw something out of here that I don't own, I'm either going to choose to buy it, or I'm going to go to the library and check it out. So, let's see what I get. My dog is watching me like I'm crazy right now. Alright. Let's see. What's Sashi? Oh, Girl Factory by Jim Crusoe. I got this book. Let's see, where is it? Here it is. This one. I got this book at the first library sale that Sue and I went to because it looked weird as fuck. So yeah, there's like a girl on there with all kinds of like parts, all kinds of places, and it's supposed to be just a really weird book. So I was like, fuck it, I'll get it. So it says, there's a disturbing secret in the basement of a strip mall yogurt parlor, and Jonathan, the mostly clueless clerk who works there, just wants to fix things once and for all. But things don't work out quite the way Jonathan intends. Or do they? Filled with memorable characters, including 2 dogs, one too smart for his own good, and a retired sea captain, this unsettling, darkly comic novel is an exploration of memory, desire, and the nature of storytelling. More disturbingly, Girl Factory raises questions about the ubiquitous objectification of women, the possibility for change, and the nature of freedom. Those are a lot of things. Those are some pretty hefty promises here. Also, I'm nervous now that it said there are 2 dogs in it, because if anything bad happens to the dogs, I don't know if I can handle it. So, yeah, hopefully nothing does, because I don't know if I can do that. So we'll see. But yeah, this isn't a very long read. This is, I think, less than 200 pages. Yeah, 196 pages. So, cool. I'm excited. That is my first TBR jar pick. I'm going to try to do this once a month and read a book out of here every month. So, we'll see how that goes. Alright, so those are the books I read in December, the books I got for Christmas, and my January TBR picks. So let me know what you guys read in December. I'd be interested to hear about it. And if you're not already subscribed to the restricted section, you can do it. There'll be some links down below where you can find Sue and I elsewhere in social media if you are so inclined. And that'll be it for me this week. So I'll see you next time.